Welcome friends to the circle of knowledge called Avi's Academy. You are at the right place if you are learning commerce, management and economics at undergraduation and post-graduation level, and if you are one of those who have thirst for knowledge. After discussing about the various taxes that are subsumed by GST, it is important for us to know how beneficial GST is from the point of view of customers. To do this, let's consider an illustration, and the illustration is on the green board. In the illustration, they have given some information with respect to value chain, how goods moves from manufacturer to retailer. So considering this value chain, we have to calculate the invoice value for each component of value chain. So let's look at the illustration. Compute the invoice value for the manufacturer to the retailer. So from manufacturer to retailer, whoever comes, for them we have to calculate invoice value or to the retailer from the following information. So they have given us few information. Using this information, we have to calculate invoice value for each component of value chain. So first information which they have given here is cost of production to manufacturer. The total cost of the product produced by the manufacturer is given in here, which is rupees 10,000. Then they have given profit margin charged. Profit margin which is charged by each individuals, I would say manufacturer, wholesaler and retailer. So that is given here 20, 15 and 10% respectively. And then they have given the applicable GST rate for each category of merchant. So here they have given each category of merchant, that is manufacturer, wholesaler and retailer. For them, the rate of GST applicable is given here, which is 18%. So this is when GST is introduced. Then they have given before GST, that means before the introduction of GST, the applicable tax rates, the taxes and the rate of tax applicable before the introduction of GST, they have given here. They have given two tax information. Excise duty, that is imposed on the manufactured value of the goods on the manufacturer, to be specific, which is 12%, and then they have given VAT at 10%. So VAT is imposed on the intra-state sale of goods. If the sales takes place within the state, VAT is applicable. If the sales takes place between the states, CST was applicable before the introduction of GST. So VAT ka information they have given. That means these transactions that have occurred between the manufacturer, then the wholesaler, then the retailer is occurring within the state. So that's why VAT ka information only given. So using this information, we have to calculate invoice value for the manufacturer, for the wholesaler and for the retailers. Let me start the calculation. As they said here, we have to calculate invoice value. So I'll write the heading as computation of invoice value. Computation of invoice value. So we will be calculating or computing the invoice value for two period. So I will call it as without GST period, or you can say before GST, without GST and after GST, that is with GST. So I'll categorize this as without GST and with GST. At the top I'll write amount in rupees. Okay, that I'll write it in the bracket. So this will be my table heading. So this is particulars, and next column is for without GST, and the last column is for with GST. Whatever the amount we are writing, that will be in rupees. So first we have to calculate the invoice value from manufacturer to the next person is wholesaler. So manufacturer to invoice value we are calculating from manufacturer to wholesaler. So first I'll be calculating for these two individuals. So in calculating the invoice value from manufacturer to wholesaler, first of all I need to consider the cost of production. So cost of production information is given. Cost of production to manufacturer they have given. I'll write as it is, or you can just write cost of production to manufacturer is rupees 10,000. So that will be same, because we are assuming one period is with GST and another period is without GST. So 10,000. Next, so once the manufacturer produce the product, to the value of the production, he will add his profit margin. So let us do that now. So profit margin they have given here. Profit margin charged by the manufacturer is 20% on the cost of goods. So let me add the profit margin. So add profit at 20%. Profit at 20%. So you can use your calculator and calculate. It is simple calculation. 10,000 into 20%, that will be equal to 2,000. So 2,000 I'll write in both the columns. So total will be 12,000. Then, so this is the value including profit. So now we have to see what are the taxes that are applicable. So since this is the value, manufactured value of the product including profit, on this value, before the introduction of GST, government used to charge a tax which is called as excise duty at 12%. So we have to charge this on the manufactured value of the goods. So manufactured value of the goods is here. So this is manufacturer price, or you can say manufactured value of the goods. I'll call it as manufacturer price that we have calculated here. On this manufactured value of the goods, I need to charge excise duty. So I'll be charging excise duty. So add excise duty. Excise at what percent? They have said it is at 12%. Excise duty is 12%. So without GST, that means before the introduction of GST, excise duty was there, so we have to charge here. So on 12,000, 12%, you can use your calculator and calculate. 12,000, 12%, that will be equal to 100, 120 into 12, that will be 1,440. 12 size is 144, then 20 get cancelled for 100 and 10 remaining, that I'll be writing here. So without GST or before GST is 1,440. With GST, that means after the introduction of GST, as discussed in our previous video, we said excise duty is subsumed by the GST. That means after the introduction of GST, there is no excise duty. Therefore, this is nil or dash. So this is what we need to add. Now we have to add this value. So I do not have space here, so I'll write it at the top. So 12,000 plus 1,440, that will be equal to 13,440. And on the other side, that will be same 12,000. We have not added excise duty because there is no excise duty during the GST period. Next, so this will be equal to the value which we are calling is considered as total value or total value of the goods manufactured. Okay, so that is the value. So to this now, so manufacturer has manufactured the goods. On that he has charged profit and then he has paid excise duty, that is considered. Now he will sell the goods manufactured by him to the wholesaler. When he is selling the goods to the wholesaler, so on that transaction government charges another tax. Before GST or without GST, one particular kind of tax. After GST, that is after the introduction of GST, GST is applicable. So these two taxes we have to consider now. So let me consider before GST period ka tax. So on the sale of goods, if the sale is occurring within the state, then VAT is applicable. That rate is given in the question. That was 10%. So let me add VAT. VAT at 10%. So that is without GST. So on 13,440, 10% VAT, that will be equal to 1,344. So GST period, no VAT, we have to charge GST. So next I will charge GST. So add GST. This is only for GST period. GST they have given in the question 18%. Let me take that. So here no GST because before the introduction of GST there was no GST. Now I have to calculate on 12,000 18%. So 12,000 into 18%, 12 18s is 216. So then one more 0. So let me confirm that. So 12,000 into 18%, yeah, that is equal to 2,160. So 2,160. So this value, after adding all these taxes plus the profit margin, this is equal to invoice value of manufacturer to wholesaler. So now we have to add these values. So I'll use a calculator. So 13,440 plus 1344, that is equal to 14,784, and then 12,000 plus 2,160, which is equal to 14,160. So this is the invoice value of the manufacturer to wholesaler. Similarly, like the same calculation, we have to calculate for next wholesaler to retailer and then retailer to final consumers. After calculating the invoice value of manufacturer to wholesaler, I have proceeded and calculated the value for wholesaler to retailer and retailer to final consumer. Nothing but I have completed the solution. But let me explain how did I calculate. So once I have calculated invoice value of manufacturer to wholesaler, that is here these two values, before GST and after GST, that is without GST and with GST. Next I have to calculate for what is the cost for the wholesaler. So in calculating the cost for the wholesaler, before GST we have to take the invoice value itself. Invoice value was 14,784. So same price what is charged by the manufacturer to wholesaler, that will become cost, which is 14,784. But in the case of GST, that is with the GST or after the introduction of GST, when we are calculating the cost for the wholesaler or for the retailer, we consider the cost excluding GST. So this value 14,160, this includes a GST of 2,160. When we are calculating the cost of goods to wholesaler, we have to exclude this GST component. Nothing but we have to take this value 12,000. So in the case of wholesaler to retailer, when it comes to cost of goods to wholesaler, I have taken 12,000, which is invoice value excluding GST. So excluding GST, 12,000. That value I have taken. So this is one important point you have to consider in this kind of a calculation. So with GST, we should not take including GST value, we have to take excluding GST value. This is you have learned in the concept of value of supply. Okay, I'll proceed. So once that value cost is considered, then we have to add, that is wholesaler will add profit margin. So his profit margin which is given in the question is 15%. So that I have added. So in calculating that, I'll be calculating on the cost. So that will be 14,784 plus 15% into 15%, that is this amount in the case of without GST. With GST it is 12,000 into 15%, that is equal to 1,800. So then I add the value to get the total value. So once the total value is done, previously in the case of manufacturer to wholesaler, I have charged excise duty. But here I have not charged excise duty because excise duty is charged on the manufacturer. Here I am speaking from the point of view of wholesaler, so he is not a manufacturer, therefore no excise duty is charged. The only duty that is charged in the case of sales from wholesaler to retailer. So that duty is VAT before the introduction of GST. After the introduction of GST, obviously it is GST. So these two values I have charged here. So that is on the total value. So 10% VAT and 18% GST. So that value. Then I will calculate the invoice value. Invoice value of wholesaler to retailer will be the total value plus the VAT, that is this much. And then invoice value with the GST is total value plus GST, which is this much. After that, I have to calculate for retailer to consumer, invoice value of retailer to consumer. So I'll write that retailer to consumer. Now I have to consider the cost of goods to retailer. So without GST, as I said earlier, we have to consider the invoice value itself. Invoice value is 18,701.76. So that I have considered as a cost. But with the GST, as I said earlier, we have to consider the value which is excluding GST. So this includes GST. Excluding GST value, I mean here this is 13,800. So therefore the cost which I considered here is 13,800. So that is the cost to the retailer. Then retailer will add his profit margin, which is 10% given in the question. So I add that value, that will be equal to total value, and then I have to add two taxes with GST and without GST period. So without GST I'll charge VAT at 10% on the total value. With GST I'll charge 18% GST on the total value. So that is charged here, and the final value I am getting, the invoice value of retailer to consumer is 22,629.13 without GST. That is before the introduction of GST. If consumer has to purchase this product from his retailer, he will end up paying 22,629.13, whereas during the GST period he will end up paying 17,912.4. So this is what the use of GST from the point of view of a final consumer. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you like this video, do consider to subscribe to the channel and press bell icon to get future updates on the videos which I am going to upload. Thank you for watching.